Under essay, we have stomach, sciatic nerve. Under short notes, we have vermiform appendix, kidney. And in thorax, we have right coronary artery, bar bodies, histology of testis. And under very short notes, we have tibial collateral ligament, development of pancreas, ligaments of spleen, sinuses of pericardium, structures passing through. Such repeated questions they sound to be, isn't it? Okay, now let us start discussing. As I scroll, whatever, see from lower limb we got only one question, that is sciatic nerve and tibial collateral ligament. Nothing else. Okay. So as we scroll, first we get lower limb only. No, beta. So let's do lower limb. So let us talk about sciatic nerve. So do you remember, Chavi, where does sciatic nerve supply? Back of the 383. 83, 124. Okay. Meghana, do you remember, beta, in like day before yesterday's class only, when lower limb question paper was discussed, I told
Hamstring muscles.
excellent, very good. Can you name hamstring muscles?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, name them. Emma asked me one doubt also on that day, right?
Yes.
Can you repeat that point? She asked me. Chavi, do you remember?
Semi-membranous, semi-tendinous, bicep femoris. That's one.
Oh. Semi-membranosus, semi-tendinosus, biceps femoris. Very good. Chavi, Meghana has missed one muscle. Can you just add to the point? Ritika, hamstring muscles. Name them.
Adductor magnus.
Very good. Adductor magnus. Like, can you tell complete name? Like, can you tell, I mean to say specific name? Adductor magnus? Hamstring part, no? Hamstring part of adductor magnus. Now the essay question is sciatic nerve, beta. So now sciatic nerve, see here, first of all, when sciatic nerve question comes, you should draw this plexus. Okay? So you are finding here, and now what are the various nerves involved? L4, L5, S1, S2, S3. Okay? You are finding that's how sciatic nerve is formed. And at the point of its formation, you are finding its two components, isn't it? You are finding one with dotted black lines, that is common peroneal part, then we have tibial part. Okay, so that means in the popliteal fossa, we have seen how it is dividing into two, isn't it? So where is it dividing? In the upper part of the popliteal fossa, you will see sciatic nerve after supplying all these muscles, hamstrings, as you said. Okay, semi-membranosus, semi-tendinosus, biceps femoris, and also the adductor, hamstring component of adductor magnus, the sciatic nerve supplies completely like this. Okay, after its formation in the gluteal region also we have a part of its course, no? Okay, I'll show you that. What is the key muscle in the gluteal region? Anybody remembers? Key muscle of gluteal region. Under the, see here, beta. See, this is gluteal region, and first muscle as you encounter when you do dissection, first muscle what you see is gluteus maximus. Okay?
Maximus.
What we see is gluteus maximus in the gluteal region. Once you remove gluteus maximus, you will see all these muscles. They come under the structures under the cover of gluteus maximus. So let us see in the form of diagram to understand better. Okay, I'll show you all the muscles. See, after gluteus maximus, we have gluteus medius. Below this, we have gluteus minimus. And I was asking you key muscle, that is piriformis. Okay, below piriformis only, we have sciatic nerve. Okay, then the other muscles under the gluteus maximus cover are, this middle muscle is obturator internus. Above this we have superior gemellus. Below this we have inferior gemellus. And the last one is quadratus femoris. Though sciatic nerve is taking its course after the formation of from the lumbar and a part of sacral plexus, you are finding it is not supplying any of the gluteal muscles. Instead, it is just running from the lower border of the piriformis, and then it is actually further subdividing into two components, that is tibial and common peroneal in the popliteal fossa. Till this you know, right? See beta, this is the same sciatic nerve in the upper part of the popliteal fossa. It has divided into tibial and common peroneal. Okay. Now, systematically, let us talk. I will take you to the picture. I hope you understood like how the nerve is formed and the course of the nerve. I hope you understood from between the like intervertebral foraminae from the lumbar and the sacral nerves. If they join to form the sciatic nerve, it enters into the gluteal region running below the piriformis. Okay, then it runs between the hamstring muscles, supplying them, and then it is entering into the popliteal fossa, in the upper part of the popliteal fossa terminates into tibial and common peroneal. Okay, all hamstring muscles are supplied by the tibial component except for the short head of biceps, which is supplied by the common peroneal component of sciatic nerve. This was the question which was asked by Hima last time. Okay. Now, generally in appendix nerves will be discussed, but I'll show you the theoretical component. May not be pictures there. Yes. Do you remember the action of hamstring muscles? Shavi, Ritika, Meghana? Like in previous class, we have discussed recently. Because if sciatic nerve is damaged, those functions will be affected. Isn't it? Ayo, where is the sciatic nerve given? I'm not finding it. We are in the surface anatomy. Yeah, appendix. Okay. Femoral obturator sciatic. So here very short is given because in all it is given as a short things. See, sciatic nerve is the thickest nerve of the body, terminal branch of lumbosacral plexus. Just now I've shown you the picture, ventral rami of L4, L5, S1, S2, S3. Okay, it has tibial component which is formed by the joining of ventral division of ventral rami of all these. Same. Ventral divisions will join to form tibial component, dorsal divisions will join to form common peroneal component. Okay, beta? So the course, everything I have explained you, like it is entering into the gluteal region and all. So branches you can see here in the gluteal region, it has no branches. Articular, in the gluteal region, it has no branches. In the back of the thigh, we know it is supplying hamstring muscles, hip joint. Finally, it terminates into tibial and common peroneal. From common peroneal, it is supplying the short head of biceps. Rest all hamstrings are supplied by the tibial component of sciatic nerve. Okay, that's what I want you to remember. So in case if sciatic nerve is compressed, there is a condition which is called as sleeping foot. Okay. And one more thing, maybe you should have seen elderly people complaining of pain which is radiating from the lower back till the foot. That is due to compression of sciatic nerve. Okay, it will be sciatica, sciatic pain, sciatica. So generally, I think it is given in the, in hamstring chapter itself or in the popliteal fossa. Just refer once better. Okay, sciatic pain and also that. So from this, Baju, what is the next question? Can you please read out? Stomach, essay, and other, what was the other question from lower limb beta?
Tibial collateral ligament.
Yeah, for 2 marks, tibial collateral ligament, I guess. No?
Yes, ma'am.
Tibial collateral ligament. Does anybody remember the extent of tibial collateral ligament? from the medial epicondyle of the femur till the upper end of the shaft of the tibia. It has superficial part and deep part. Recently we have discussed. Okay, I'll show you that picture. See here, better. This is tibial collateral ligament. From the medial epicondyle of the femur, you can see it starts and it has two components. This green line outer side is the superficial part and the inner one is the deep part. The dotted discontinuous line is actually the inside of the capsule. We have this synovial membrane, that one. Okay, so we have superficial and deep part of the tibial collateral ligament. Then superficial to the superficial part of the tibial collateral ligament, we have these gyropes muscles, sartorius, gracilis, and semitendinosus. Deep to these two strips, like we have semimembranosus, inferior medial genicular vessels and nerves. Any more questions from here, beta? Low volume, I don't think, right? Yeah. Sciatic nerve, root value course relations, distribution, applied anatomy. We don't have any questions from low volume. Let's move to abdomen. So in the abdomen, what are the ligaments of spleen, beta? We have discussed recently again. Chavi, Ritika, what are the ligaments of spleen? Gastrosplenic ligament, lieno-renal ligament, phrenicocholic, which just supports. What are the structures passing through major openings of diaphragm? Meghana? Major
Esophageal, aortic opening, and inferior vena cava.
Okay, very good. IOA 8, 10, 12. Can you elaborate this better? I stands for which opening?
Inferior vena.
Excellent, very good. Okay. Then O is esophagus, IA is aorta. At 8th, 10th, and 12th, thoracic vertebrae respectively. In the aortic opening, do you find any other structure passing better? Do you remember?
Thoracic duct.
Excellent, Ritika. Thoracic duct and one more structure passes, no better? Azygous system of veins. Okay. What is Barr body? Okay. Think over. Meanwhile, I'll tell you about stomach. So, stomach has come as an essay question, which is the favorite for most of the students. Okay. So, he's asking ligaments, blood supply, lymphatic drainage, blood vessels. Okay. So, if you just see in these 9 quadrants, do you remember the names better? This is umbilical region. This is epigastric. This is hypogastric. This is right hypochondric, left hypochondric, right lumbar, right iliac fossa, left iliac fossa. So stomach lies in the abdomen, in which left hypochondrium, a part of epigastrium, and the umbilical region. Isn't it? Though presenting parts are not as, only ligaments are as, but still to make the topic complete, I'm telling you, like it has lesser curvature, it has greater curvature. The upper end is the cardiac end and the lower end is the pyloric end. Okay, if you draw an imaginary line coming from this esophageal junction to the stomach, if you draw one line touching to the greater curvature, whatever area lying above this plane is fundus. Okay, then now lower down we have the pyloric antrum, pylorus. Okay, so this whole region is pylorus, and actually you have a deeper angle here which is called as angular notch. From the angular notch, if you draw one line touching to the greater curvature, area behind this line is pyloric antrum. Okay, adjacent to which is pyloric canal, and this is the pyloric part of the stomach. Okay, so this is body, whole thing, remaining part is body. Now when you talk about the ligaments, beta, can you tell me what are the ligaments? Are nothing but peritoneal coverings. Now please tell me what are the ligaments now. Your pictures are not so good, but in peritoneum we have seen. From lesser curvature, what do we have? And from greater curvature, what do we have? Chavi?
Lesser omentum
Very good. And
greater.
yeah, very good, Meghna. Lesser omentum and greater omentum. When this question is asked like ligaments of stomach, you have to talk about lesser omentum and greater omentum. The extent of lesser omentum is from the lesser curvature of the stomach to the margins of porta hepatis. And the right free margin of the lesser omentum will show a small opening, that is epiploic foramen, which marks the communication of greater sac with lesser sac. So in the previous class, I have shown you this lesser omentum is loaded with fat, right and left gastric vessels, gastric nerves, lymphatics, and lot of fat, right? Then apart from that, there are thickening, no? Thickenings of this lesser omentum from the liver to the stomach, you call it as hepatogastric ligament. That is part of lesser omentum only. From the liver to the duodenum, you call it as hepatoduodenal ligament. Okay. Now, when you talk about greater curvature, see in the greater curvature, when you just check, you will see it will be hanging like an apron. The greater omentum, right? See here, beta. This is the lesser. This whole thing is stomach. This is the sagittal section of the body. From the lesser curvature, you have lesser omentum. From the greater curvature, you have greater omentum. See, greater omentum will have 4 layers. Actually, it folds on itself like an apron. That's the reason first layer becomes 4th layer and second layer becomes 3rd layer. You see, the continuation of first layer is 4th layer and second layer is 3rd layer, and it is becoming continuous with the transverse colon. Okay, so this is greater omentum. So along the greater curvature, we have greater omentum. Along the lesser curvature, we have lesser omentum. Okay, beta. So these are the things which you have to talk about. This is the lesser omentum picture which we have seen in our previous class. I told you left gastric artery, right gastric artery, gastric vessels and nerves, isn't it? Then in the porta hepatis area, we have bad structures, portal vein, bile duct and hepatic artery proper. Okay, beta, that one. So, and the right free margin will show an opening which is called as epiploic foramen, foramen of Winslow, which marks the communication of greater sac and lesser sac. I hope this is clear. That's what is generally the gross feature should be asked, but instead of that, question has been asked like, what is the question? He said ligaments of stomach. So when ligaments of stomach word is used, you have to elaborate on greater curvature, greater omentum, lesser curvature, lesser omentum, and their thickenings, that is ligaments. Okay, beta? Peritoneal relations, lesser omentum, greater omentum. And there is a connection between the stomach and diaphragm also. You call it as gastrophrenic ligament. Okay. Then now after knowing this stomach ligaments, what is the blood supply? Do you remember celiac trunk, beta? When we were discussing abdomen, I told you whole of the GIT blood supply embryologically, when you divide, it has been divided into 3 parts. GIT. Whole GIT is developing from which germ layer? Hema? Endoderm. Endoderm. So what are the subdivisions of GIT? We have foregut, midgut and hindgut. Foregut artery is celiac trunk, midgut artery is superior mesenteric artery, hindgut artery is inferior mesenteric artery. This is something like a stock information which you should remember. So let us revise this celiac trunk, because blood supply of stomach comes from celiac trunk only. So celiac trunk, if you observe, see here, it has 3 main branches. No, what are those? It has left gastric artery, splenic artery and common hepatic artery. Okay, so left gastric artery is going along the lesser curvature of the stomach. Okay, this common hepatic artery will give rise to this proper hepatic artery and also gastroduodenal artery. From the like proper hepatic artery, you are finding one artery is moving towards the lesser curvature, which is now right gastric artery. So there is anastomosis of right gastric artery and left gastric artery. Okay, then now next artery which you are seeing is going behind the stomach. You call this as splenic artery. It goes into the tail of pancreas, like it follows the upper border of the pancreas and it enters into the hilum of the spleen, entering in the form of splenic branches. Okay, then I told you we have gastroduodenal artery coming from proper hepatic artery. This gastroduodenal artery gives one branch which is called as right gastroepiploic artery. The left gastroepiploic artery comes as a branch of splenic artery. So along the lesser curvature, we have left gastroepiploic, okay, and also right gastroepiploic. They anastomose. In some books, instead of epiploic, omental word is used. That is same. So all these names you should talk when you are talking about blood supply of stomach. Draw this picture and give explanation in your own words. No problem. Okay, beta. Then lymphatic drainage has been asked. Now, when you talk about lymphatic drainage, we divide the stomach into four components A, B, C, D. You can see here. The part near the fundus and the greater curvature area A, outer half, you see it is draining into pancreatico-splenic nodes. Always you follow the lymphatic drainage in this direction and come back to celiac nodes beta. So how does it follow? From pancreatico-splenic, it goes to right gastroepiploic, then to pyloric, then to hepatic. Finally, whole lymph is going to celiac nodes. That is area A. Area B is the inner half of the like cardiac and part of the fundus, and also the body is included, and this area is now draining into left gastric. From there it is draining into celiac. Okay, C area is draining into right gastroepiploic. There finally it's draining into celiac. D is the pyloric area draining into hepatic. Finally, every part of the lymphatic drainage is draining into celiac group of lymph nodes. Okay, that is lymphatic drainage. Applied aspect, everybody knows so much about stomach. You can talk about gastric ulcer, peptic ulcer. What is the difference? If you find ulcers along the lesser curvature of the stomach, why lesser curvature is more prone? Because the contents uh, of the esophagus through gastric canal of Magenstrasse. Along the lesser curvature, we have a canal through which liquids will directly enter and they will enter into the duodenum. Okay, so that passage is actually, suppose if we person consumes alcohol or something beverages, you will see lesser curvature will be at more insult, receiving the damages leading to gastric ulcer. And this damages may also proceed into first part of the duodenum, because pyloric part is in continuation with the first part of duodenum. So if the ulcer is in lesser curvature of stomach and first part of duodenum, together you call it as peptic ulcer. That is the difference, gastric ulcer, peptic ulcer. After this, what you should know, you can talk about gastric cancers, gastric carcinoma.
Ma'am, can you repeat the difference between gastric and peptic ulcer once?
Gastric ulcer is the ulcer along the lesser curvature of the stomach, whereas peptic ulcer is along the lesser curvature of the stomach and first part of duodenum together, two. 1 plus 1. Got it?
Okay, ma'am, got it.
Okay. So, and so that's what you can write under applied aspects, beta. Then now, tell me about vermiform appendix. Can you talk about little whatever you remember about vermiform appendix, beta? appendix, whatever you know. Meghana, large amount of surgeries done by surgeons are appendectomy.
It
Removal
is
of
a
appendix.
vestigial.
Yeah, beta, it's a vestigial organ. Nice, very good. Any more points, beta? But do you really think it is vestigial, Meghana? Cross
Yes,
section of, yes. Just try to recollect the histology of appendix, beta. It will contain lymphatic tissue also, no? So that's the
yes,
reason
ma'am.
it is called as abdominal tonsil. There's so much of lymphatic tissue, it kills the microorganism. Of course, but person can lead a very much normal life without appendix also. Okay, now the next 5 marks question what we have is vermiform appendix. So appendix is a blind out pouch which is start which where do we see it? In the ascending colon.
Right. Illegal.
Very good. In the right iliac fossa. Okay. Then worm-like diverticulum arising from the posterior medial wall of the cecum. Ascending colon, the first part of the ascending colon, we have cecum, right? So where again we have posterior medial wall, there is a blind pouch which is called as appendix. Okay. No, that means just if this is the ileum, terminal part of the ileum, and just 2 centimeters below the ileocecal orifice, you have the opening that is appendix. Dimensions it may vary from 2 to 20 centimeters. Okay, average is 9 centimeters. It is longer in children than in adults. Okay, then position. See here, position is so much varied. It may be 3 o'clock position. It can be like pre-ileal. If it is in front of ileum, you call it as pre-ileal. If it is behind ileum, you call it as post-ileal. Okay, then 4 o'clock position is pelvic position. Okay, then this is we have 6 o'clock position is there. Okay, which is mid-inguinal. Okay, we have 11 o'clock position which is like paracolic. So different positions are there. Okay, 12 o'clock position is also there which is retrocolic. Position of appendix itself may be like as better. Okay, so position of appendix we can write, and appendicular orifice is nothing but the opening what we see in the cecum, that is the appendicular orifice. Okay. So it is guarded by a valve which is called as valve of Gerlach. And McBurney's point is very, very important. How do we get this McBurney's point? If you just palpate this, the hip bone, the most anterior end in the lower part of this region, you call it as anterior superior iliac spine, and this is umbilicus. If you draw one line and if you just like palpate between medial 2/3 and lateral 1/3, if you just like palpate here, there will be so much severe pain which person cannot tolerate in case of appendicitis. So this point of maximum tenderness in case of inflammation of appendix is called McBurney's point. Okay, beta? That is. Then peritoneal relation, we know like appendix is covered by a fold of peritoneum which is called as mesoappendix. Mesoappendix. Okay, that is. Then blood supply, appendicular artery. Appendicular artery is a branch of which artery? Do you remember midgut artery? Just now I told you. Superior mesenteric artery. It will have MRI branches. Middle colic, right colic, ileocolic. The last one is ileocolic. Ileocolic artery's branch is appendicular artery. Okay. So here we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Parasympathetic blindly throughout abdomen. Remember vagus. Sympathetic is coming from T9 and T10 through celiac plexus. Okay, beta. Lymphatic drainage just right nearby lymph nodes, that is ileocolic group of lymph nodes. So see histology, we find lot of lymphoid tissue, okay, in the mucosa and in the submucosa region. Okay, so that's why you call this as abdominal tonsil. Okay, so that is, and inflammation of appendix is appendicitis, and operation for the removal is appendectomy. Okay. McBurney's point I have told you. So that is enough beta for appendix. Then kidney is one question. It's from abdomen. He is asking, I gave you one code. If anybody remembers, I will really appreciate. Posterior relations of left kidney. In fact, relations of both the kidneys is same only. Anybody remembers?
Ma'am, you're on mute.
So, like I told you, ligaments of spleen is one more question. Do you remember now? I told you the names: gastrosplenic, renal, and phrenicocholic. These are the three ligaments which you have to check in this answer. And development of pancreas. So many times I discussed, Ritika. Can you tell me?
From the ventral bud.
Yes, Hema. At the junction of foregut and midgut, we have two birds. Isn't it? What are those? Dorsal pancreatic bird and ventral pancreatic bird. So these birds will start growing, and there is, due to rotation of gut, you will see there is shifting of these two birds one above the other, and then you will see, so the fusion of these two birds will lead to the formation of head, neck, body, tail of pancreas. Okay, beta? So this has come for 2 marks, 3 marks now. Okay. Anybody remembers what are the posterior relations of left kidney, Hema? PQT is the code I gave you. So as
Okay.
major
Psoas major, quadratus lumborum, and uh, T for
transfer.
transversus abdominis muscle.
Very good. Whether it is right kidney or left kidney, beta. Now the question is, you are asked this question, like posterior relations of right kidney, left kidney, both are same. Only anterior relations will differ, but posterior relations are same. So we have, see what are the various structures. The important ones, as Hema told, PQT. So psoas major is the muscle, then it is quadratus lumborum, and then we have transversus abdominis. Okay, medial one third, middle two thirds, and lateral one third, something like that. So upper part near the pole, on the posterior aspect, it is related to diaphragm. Okay, and it is also related to subcostal vessels and nerves, impression of 12th rib. Okay, so these are the arcuate ligaments you are finding, medial arcuate ligament and lateral arcuate ligaments. These are the origin points of diaphragm, if you remember from previous class. Okay, so these are the posterior relations. So as far as I think, stomach, sciatic nerve, vermiform appendix, and left kidney. What is bar body, beta? Pericardium and coronary artery. These are the two things which we have to discuss from thorax. And openings, Meghana already told us. Meanwhile, you tell me about bar body. I will open thorax, beta. Histology of testis. What does it contain, beta? Histology of testis. Seminiferous tubules, cut sections of seminiferous tubules. In each seminiferous tubule, you will find developing spermatogonia. So the developing spermatogonia, you will see all stages of spermatogenesis. What are the stages, beta, we have?
Primary spermatocyte, secondary
Yeah,
spermatocyte,
spermatogonia
spermatid
type
and
A,
sperms.
spermatogonia type B. Very good. Then spermatids,
Spermatid and sperm.
and in the towards the lumen, you will see mature sperms. Excellent. Okay. So cut section of testis will show all these things. Okay. Bare body, beta. Hema, try to recollect and tell me about bare
It
body.
is the
Inactivated
inactivated X chromosome.
It is extra X
The
chromosome,
inactivated X
which is seen
chromosome.
normally in case of females. Meghana
Females, yeah.
wants to
And
tell
neutron.
something. Meghana, you unmute yourself and tell me what points you
Same
know.
thing, ma'am. I wanted to tell the same.
Can you be little louder, beta?
I wanted to tell the same thing.
Okay, okay. Can you repeat? I could not listen to Hema's
Like it
points.
is an inactivated X chromosome present only in female.
Very good, very good. Whose hypothesis was that? Lyon's hypothesis.
Lyon's hypo.
Yeah, Lyon apostrophe S. Okay. Lyon's hypothesis, according to her, you see, like generally, in order to check the bar body, it is also called as sex chromatin. We generally take buccal mucosa and we stain it. Once we stain, you will see there will be a dark colored structure inside the lymphocytes. That dark colored structure is identified as bar body. Okay. In case of normal females, we have two X chromosomes, but in case of females, only one is active and the other is inactivated, which is generally called as bar body. Okay, and in males, how many bar bodies are there in normal male?
0.
No,
Zero. 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 Nice. Very good. Okay. What is the general formula to calculate beta?
N-1.
Yeah, n minus 1. So, in case of females, it is 2 minus 1, isn't it? Whereas in
Yes.
case of males, one X chromosome, right? So 1 minus 1, it comes to 0. Now, can you tell me some deformities, beta, Hema, where bar body, in case of males, it may be positive. What is the disorder? Phenotypically, person is having, huh?
Klinefelter syndrome.
Excellent, Klinefelter syndrome. Any other thing you can think about? Like where bar body is absent, though the lady is female.
Turner syndrome, sorry.
Excellent, beta. Can you tell one extra X chromosome in case of female? Extra, other than